Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Steve, welcome back to Friday at 4. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing very well. And yourself for
Yeah,
holiday weekend?
yeah, I'm hanging in there. As you can tell, look at this beautiful background I created for 250 years.
I like it.
It's a long time.
It is a long time.
A long time. I
Yeah,
hope I don't offend too many people with my background, but hey, I love my country.
exactly. So do I. So we're good. We're good.
Yeah. So anyway, for nearly 250 years, America wasn't built by giant corporations alone. It was built by one small business, one family, one community at a time, right? That's exactly why we created Chasing the Stars, to recognize the businesses that make our communities shine. And some of those businesses, and I'm sure I'm gonna leave out some, but hey, look, main streets, county fairs, family-owned restaurants, baseball fields, volunteer fire companies, farmers markets, ice cream stands, one of my favorites, community parades, independent bookstores, and local coffee shops, and the list goes on and on and on, right?
It does. It just continues to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. So I'm going to take your cue and I'm going to kind of go off just a little bit, but I promise you I'll bring it back quickly and it will make some sense. Okay. And this is not meant to offend anybody, but there is some logic to the way I'm going here.
Wait a minute. Steve's
So
going off on a tangent. That never happens on the show.
we never go off on
We never
tangents.
do that.
He said with his most sarcastic tone. Okay.
Right.
So, so one of the things I wanted to bring to light is we're talking small business and we're going to get there in a moment. But I want to shine the light for just a second on the major corporations in this country. And I'm not picking on any in particular. I'm just setting an example of why we're going the direction we're going in this podcast.
Right.
For example, Walmart made 680, I'm sorry, revenue 681 billion last year and had a profit of 15.5 billion. Amazon revenue 638 billion had a profit of 77 billion. And it just goes on and on and on. And I'm telling you that because with all these companies making all this money, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have a profit, they should, but where does it become profit and where does it become greed? So
Yeah.
between that and AI and the economy and a whole bunch of other things, people are being let go and looking for other things. So here's where I bring it back. See, I told you I'd bring it back. In 2026, just in the first 5 months, 2.5 million new business applications have been filed in the country with the average business, and no, it's not even true. I shouldn't say the average. The vast majority of those businesses are less than 10 people. So, to your point, when you opened up this session or this podcast, people are either voluntarily or involuntarily leaving the corporate world. They're looking for other things. It could be any age, even kids in school are starting to look at what can I do as an entrepreneur because I don't like what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And the top five, according to the Google search that I did, the top five are retail, professional services, construction, administration and support, and transportation warehousing. Those are the top five. So what I wanted to do, and Chuck, hope you don't mind, you're going to go first. Sorry to tell you that. Um, See the way I just like spit it out and tell you right away with all that advance warning. When these businesses start, and there's going to be a continuing number of them, whether they're new, just starting out, or they're existing, in this case, January to now is 5, 6 months. What are they doing right? What do they need to improve? How do they know how they stand up to their competition? That's where Chuck comes in. For all those listening into this podcast, that's where Chuck comes in with his experience. And he's going to talk to this more than I can because he's the expert in this. I'm not. But how do you fit in to your to compare to competitors? How do you know what's right, what's not right, what to improve? If you have someone who is a highly paid consultant, are they really going to be impartial? But you have somebody like Chuck who comes in from an independent perspective, looks at what you're doing, looks at the data, and tells you what's right, what's wrong, how to improve. So, Chuck, in your experience, give us some of the multiple ways, and I know you do many things, but give us just a couple of things that you do to help businesses to see the, if you will, see the light of what's possible to improve their business.
Yeah, Steve, I'm glad that you brought that up the way you did, the numbers and the data about the new businesses that are being created, because that says a couple of things, right? This has been a known fact for quite some time that people are getting tired of corporations. They're starting to hate their corporate job, right? They're sick of the corporate world. They want to work for themselves. Now, we all know, you and I included, know that that is not easy to do. Working for yourself it's tough. It's pain. Now, with that being said, I want to segue a little bit to Sam, and I didn't look this up. Maybe you could do it real fast. I don't know. But just in Maryland alone, there is a staggering stat that says X number of businesses are created and started this year, but within the first year, 6 months, a year, and 5 years, 90 some percent or whatever, it's a really high number
Right.
of businesses don't make it. They fail
Right.
because of poor planning, poor execution, not thinking your business model through. All these things that come to my mind of why those businesses don't make it. And that's why I'm glad you said the way you said, because that's what I do best. Even if you are a new business, it doesn't matter if you're in business for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I can show you briefly by coming in undercover like a mystery shopper, and I can give you all those stats, the data, the numbers of what you're doing good, what you could improve on, what things can help push you forward, where the nuances are, and how to really help you in your business. And I think that's a great thing, because one of the things I've been working on the past couple of weeks that is really a star for me, because Star Performance Index, stars, hey, one of the stars for me right now is I'm looking at how to show a business owner. So you are 4.6 on Google and you have X amount of reviews. Let's say you have 400 reviews. So you're 4.6, you got 400 reviews. Now I can physically show you how many reviews it's going to take you to get to 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, and beyond. I have two numbers to share with you that show you what's the likely percentage that you are going to make that. Now, all that goes out the window if you're climbing up that ladder to get these reviews and you get one-star review. Kills it, right? So those are some of the things that I've been working on, trying to get. I need to find somebody who's really good with Excel who can get this where it looks pretty the way I want it.
Mm.
Right now, I have the numbers, I have the data, I got some pie charts, but I don't like the way it looks. I want something to show to a business owner professionally to say, hey, look, here's what I'm doing. It's what it looks like. So they can go, wow, I need that. Right now, you look at it and go, oh, okay, it's great. It's numbers. It's pie chart. Boring. I want it to be razzle dazzle and flashy.
So real quick, don't sell yourself short. The data is still there. The data can
Yeah.
still help companies and businesses. Presentation, yes, that helps, but don't sell short the value you can already add to businesses. Sorry,
Yeah.
keep going.
No, 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 it's good. I think what I've been doing in the past is overwhelming business owners with
Mm,
the data that I have. I have a lot of data to share. And I think it's overwhelming when I show it to a business owner. They get confused.
mm,
They get all this, throwing all this data at you, and they're like, well, let's go back a minute. So I think if I start leaning on what's important to that specific business at
mm,
that time
right.
and just share with them one or two things that I think they should focus on, that's going to help me help that business understand better where they stand and how we can move forward. Because that's what I've been struggling with is one, how do I make it look pretty? And
Mhm.
two, I think I'm just overwhelming people and they're just like, my brain's smoking. You gave me too much. Ah, go away.
But it's still the value added to a business of the independent view. So you're not jaded by anyone, you're not paid by any outside interests, that's going to benefit, six figures or whatever. It's you, it's specific to the business. It's giving them numbers, it's setting a path going forward because, and I can tell you my story, which fits right into what you're saying. I was in corporate for 32 years. I thought I knew what I was doing when I opened my business. I thought I was smart when I opened my business. Well, in both cases, I was dead wrong. Yes, I was smart, but not in that respect. And yes, to your point, what you said before, my business failed in 2 years because I did not have the knowledge to run a business, but I also did not know Chuck. So I didn't know, and I knew what was wrong, but from an independent perspective, to get away from me looking at the same thing every day, how do I get better? What do I need to change? I didn't know that. I didn't have a Chuck. My business very possibly could still be running today if I knew that. So if you're a business owner, even if you have prior business experience, there's always another way to look at something. There's the independent way to look at something. And that's the part that Chuck brings in.
Yeah. And I think, don't sell yourself short on that statement you said that you didn't know better. You didn't know what you were doing. You knew enough to start that business and you knew enough to be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And I say that lightly, loosely, because I don't want you to think I'm jabbing at you for failing your
No,
business,
no,
right?
no, not at all.
Yeah, yeah. I think why I say it that way is because I want people to really think about what we are saying here. If you have an idea for a business, don't just go, I'm gonna quit my job and go
Mm,
start my restaurant, because that's one of the absolute worst things you can do right now in this economy. But I also want to back up a second and just say that's why this background the way it is. America was built on small businesses. That's how we were ran. It's how we run. Yes, corporations help, obviously, but what we're running into now is that the corporations are overtaking our economy, and that's why we're struggling. That's why these small businesses can't keep up, because now that gap has gotten wider from obviously the economy with the price of things, inflation.
yeah.
Small businesses have to charge a hell of a lot more just to keep running. And people like us can't afford to go there because we can't afford to pay the price that you have to charge to keep it going. So we have to get back to that balance, right? And what better way to do it is to have someone like me come in and show you everything that's happening from customer service, cleanliness, timing, all the data that we give you, reviews, everything, your competitors, because that's important, right? If you're charging $17 for a cheeseburger, but your competitors are charging $12, well, where do you think everybody's going to go?
Right.
You know, if you're charging $17, it better be worth $17. And that's what I'm trying to get at If you want your small business to flourish, you have to build it right. You can't do what happened to Steve, go out there and say, hey, I know what I'm doing. Boom, let's fly at it. And in 2 years, it folds
Right.
because, well, you weren't prepared. And we talk about that almost in every episode where you always say that, right? You thought you knew it, but it failed because you weren't prepared,
Correct.
you know? And
Correct.
I think if people really, even if you, again, even if you have an idea for a business, you can still reach out to me. I can give you the data of all your competitors in your
Hmm.
area
Right.
to show you what you're up against because you may want to start that restaurant, but realize, whoa, that's a big chore to take on because I don't think I'm really ready. Or a food truck, right? I saw a post the other day about people bashing food trucks alone. And then you got food trucks chiming in on the post, saying, you don't understand. You think food trucks shouldn't charge restaurant prices, but you don't know that the profit margins are so thin that we
Correct.
have to charge what we charge. I don't know
Right.
what it costs to run a food truck. I've never ran a food truck, but I do know a lot about restaurants and why they charge the way they charge.
Hmm.
I get it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but getting back to the whole 250, with the where we are today in America, I want to stick to America because it's where we are.
Yeah.
I think really taking a step back and looking at the processes, procedures, how to run a business, what to really look for in your niche, because you can't compare yourself to um, a convenience store if you're a restaurant. They're two different animals. They're going to be two different things. But I can show you both of those businesses, how they operate and how you can operate better. It's what I do,
Yep.
you know?
So what we have said to elaborate on a little bit on what you just said, we have talked on many episodes. If you are fortunate in today's age, if you have a full-time job and you want to start a business, start it part-time. Don't give up your full-time salary until what you're going to go into is up and running and working. Let that extra side business build, learn from the mistakes if you make any, build it out slowly. When it gets to that point that it's reliable and sufficient enough, then you need to make that decision of what you want to do. And again, that's your decision. But don't just quit cold turkey with a salary because in today's economy, you may not find another one for a long time and then you're in trouble. So keep an eye on that. Try to, if you can. Now, if you're not currently working, then you may want to think about, and again, choice is yours. You may want to think about, do I look for something by myself? Do I look for something with one or more other people to split the cost? Now, yes, you're splitting the revenue and the profit, but you're also splitting the cost.
About the pain, splitting the
If you
pain.
do that, just be very careful and make no mistake. If you do that, get an attorney
Yeah.
and make sure that everything is in writing so there's no confusion later about who's going to put in money, how the profit's going to be split. Make sure everything is in writing to protect yourself. And this is for you. I don't want to cause issues, but if you don't do it now, it's going to come back later. So
Yeah.
again, different ways you can do solo, you can do as a group.
Yeah. That's what I like about what you do, because everything is so lockstep in your business. And we talk about numbers, especially with my business, I got spreadsheets and I've got data. You have tons of spreadsheets and tons of data. If everything is not in line with your business, man, it can really fall quick. And give us little insights on how you tie to this, because I know, insurance has been around for a very long time and it's been a successful industry for hundreds of years. Tell us more about it, man. I mean, insurance goes back a long way.
So there's a bunch of things. Thank you for the intro, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of things that come into play even before that. So when you open a business, and again, there are certain things I do and certain things I don't. So when you look to open a business, consider having a corporation, and there's multiple types of corporations. What that does is number one, it could register the name of your business so nobody else can take the name. Also, based on the type of corporation, you can get certain tax breaks more than others. So keep all that in mind going into it. You do need an accountant, a bookkeeper, a CPA. You need all that stuff to make sure your numbers are consistent so you know how much income versus how much expenses. But you also need to budget. Again, what's coming in, what's going out, where is it going out? Am I being efficient? Just because somebody says you need to buy X for your store, do you? How much do you buy? Are you getting the best price for it? So just because you need to buy something, just be aware. If the money's not coming in, how much can you have going back out? So again, balance the income and the expenses. But once you start getting into it, you may have a staff, or even if not the staff for yourself, you need medical to make sure that if something happens, you're protected because one bad, expensive medical procedure and it's going to wipe you out. Um, and I had that experience with my late wife. We had insurance, but even with the insurance, it cost me thousands of dollars. Um, there's medical, there's what they call living benefits. So if you happen to get critical illness, chronic illness, terminal illness, you can get paid. So at least you can continue to live. You can continue to have the business run. You need life. So if for some reason something happens to you, there's money that somebody else collects that can keep the business running if they want to. Otherwise, where does the money come from?
Right.
If you have employees, what do you want to help the employees for? If you have a certain number of employees, you can give them reduced rate, still valid, legitimate coverage medical wise, but at a reduced rate to save them money.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of things with that. You want to maybe give them a retirement plan because not every company does that. Now, the laws are changing that if you're 10 or more, yes, you do have to provide some type of retirement plan. We get that. But even with that requirement, there are different types. So how can you minimize your expense for your employees' retirement, if that makes sense? So there's all kinds of things in there that have to come into play. Um, Look at long term. When you start making money, where do you put the profits? Do you put them under your mattress? Do you put them in a bank at less than 1%? Do you invest it for your future? But if you do, where do you invest? Because there's all kinds of things that go on with that. And again, I'm not knocking anything. I'm just giving examples of things for business owners to think about. So it's the income, it's the expenses, it's the profit, it's the long term. Think about your own retirement. You don't want to work forever. And the last thing, high level, what a lot of, and I've talked to a lot of people who are in the field of what they call exit planning. And that means when you're ready to sell your business, is it, first of all, a business that somebody will buy? And if they will buy it, how much will they pay for it?
Right.
But the thing that every one of those people say, the day you start your business, everything you do, and this is going to be a real high level generic statement, but everything you do when you start your business should be geared towards you selling your business. I know it sounds crazy, but do you have the right people in place? Do you have the right process in place? Do you have the right vendors in place? Do you have a product that the market really wants and is paying for? Is the business revolving around you or around the process of the business? If it's revolving around you and you're not there anymore, the business goes away because people are buying you, they're not buying the business.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of things that come into there. And like I said, some things I do, some things I don't. But I have a large enough network that if you need something, I can refer you to people that are trusted, that I've worked with for years. So, again, we can help and guide you along the way. Um, Chuck's here to help you with a lot of questions. I'm here to help you. Our phone numbers are listed under our, next to our names so you can call us. We want to help. That's why we're doing this podcast on a consistent basis. And we got to be close to 100 episodes at this point.
Yeah, I think this is 95, 96,
Yeah, that
97. Yeah, we're getting it.
that's comes pretty close to 100. Okay, last
Yeah,
time
we're
I
getting
checked,
there,
right?
man.
I
We
ran
are
out of
getting
fingers and
there.
toes, but it comes close. Um,
Yeah.
but
I'll tell you
but
exactly in a second.
but while you're looking, but this is
Yes.
why we do what we do. We want to add value to
Value.
everybody that is tuning in, that is telling other people about these episodes. We're here to help, you know,
Yeah.
W- as we say all the time, we're just two guys, non-sponsored, who are giving you our honest opinions, and some things may be what you want to hear, and some things may not. But the one
Yeah.
thing you will get every time is the truth from
Yeah.
our experience.
Yeah. This is episode 96.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, I think what I like about this is you and I, we briefly discussed the topic for the conversation, and that's it. We don't put a script together. We don't sit down and say, hey, I want to say this, you're going to say that.
Right.
We just go with it.
Right.
And that's what I like about this is that it's not scripted. So when people watch these episodes, and that's why I like recording them and
Mm-hmm.
not just doing it live, I like the fact that we just do this. There is no script. There is no, there's no teleprompter behind me as I'm scrolling down, watching everything on my screen. It's you and I talking out of our brain. And we're coming up with these ideas and we're talking about this as we're speaking and doing this. And I think that's what's cool about this. And I remember back when I first had this idea, and with you and I doing this and coming on the show with me, I really this was my vision for this was to have something like this to where even have guests coming on, and discussing with us how they help the topic that we discuss so we can get three, four, five people, together on this show talking. And I this is exactly what I envisioned for this podcast. And I'm glad that we're doing it, Steve. I'm glad you're still here, you know?
Yeah, of course I'm still here. I
Yeah.
First of all, we get along, which is always a plus, right? When you're on the air, if you will, it kind of helps, that people kind of get along. But the fact that we are, and I hate to use the word, but we're ad hoc. We go as we go. Whatever comes up in the conversation. These are not scripted. And I
Yeah.
think people who have watched a number of our episodes understand this is not scripted. And again, there were times that we just, like I did in the beginning of this, I just went off on a tangent. And
Yeah.
yes, thankfully I came back. Okay, but we went
Steve
off on
always comes back.
come back. But this is what we do. Ideas pop in, things happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't, because we don't
Yeah.
talk about this before the episode. So
Yeah.
you ask a question, I answer. I ask a question, you answer, and it just leads and leads and leads. And that's it. That's why we keep asking. If you have comments, let us know. Um, when Chuck posts this on various social media, put comments in. We want to hear what you're thinking. We want to know what we can do differently, what's better, what topics you want to hear about. This is all about what the audience wants. We come up with topics every week, but there have been some that came from the audience, which is great because it's something specific that you're looking for. And if we don't know, then we're going to research. And if it takes us longer than to the next episode, then we'll hold that topic for like the following week. But we will address and have addressed every topic that has come to us. So yeah.
Yeah, I would love to have somebody comment on this episode about what they would like to have us talk about on the next episode, and even maybe come on and share their thoughts with us
Right.
as a guest on the show, whether you are a business owner or just someone wanting to, have your opinion,
Hmm.
on the show. I would love to have someone like that, you know.
Right.
And a little bit of information here. We're running out of time, but I want to say with that thought is I'm coming up on, hopefully I'll have a couple of co-hosts for my show coming up. So I'm excited about
Oh,
that.
nice.
Just regular people who I come in
Good.
contact with to say, hey, I'm doing this. And they're like, that's really cool. And I was like, well, you want to be a co-host? And they're like, oh my God, I would love to. So hopefully this will work out.
Yeah.
And I'll actually have a co-host on my Chasing the Stars or the Taste and
Good.
Rated spinoff for my show coming up in a couple episodes. So I'm excited,
Mm. Yeah. I
So
think that'll
yeah,
be good. It's, our opinions. Yes, you're from one side, I'm from the other side, experience wise, and that's great. But to have a third or a fourth or a fifth person on the show, depending how where it goes, it just adds additional opinions, additional experience, which can
yeah,
only help the audience more.
you got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it. Yeah, what a
Yeah.
great episode. I think it was a good topic today because of, this is our 250 years for America. We're celebrating
Hmm.
longevity. I mean, we've been around for a while. We've been fighting this battle with this country for a while.
Yeah.
And, it has its ups and downs. It had its good times and bad times, even
Hmm.
with business, small business, corporations. We're going through a corporate battle right now with corporations, and small businesses are fighting because, they're trying to survive and struggle with, high prices of buying food and buying products for their business to sell. And how do you make a profit? And how do I survive? And I saw a meme on, I think it was TikTok or Instagram the other day that said, I would start my own business. I was making $4,000 a month. Now I'm making $40 a month. As a joke, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get what they're saying was,
Hmm.
I made all this money when I was working for somebody. Now I'm working for myself and I ain't making nothing
Right.
because, well, it's a struggle and it's a battle. And
It
that's
is.
something that I want to help you with is let's show you where your business is hurting and where it's flying and where it needs help and what we can do to
Yeah.
make it better, right? Yeah.
That's what we do with our experience. For the most part, pretty much any type of business, pretty much can benefit from what Chuck does, from what I do. It, Give us a call, give us a shout out, give us a comment. We'd love
Yeah.
to chat with you. What we chat with you is completely confidential. The chat is complimentary. Um, if you want us to do work with you, then we have to consider, what you want and whatever else. But those
Cool.
initial chats are free. And
Yeah.
if you want to know, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? We'll have a 10, 15, 20-minute conversation. And then you'll say, yes, I'll do it, or no, I won't. And the choice is yours. But
Yeah. Absolutely.
sometimes you need that independent, you've seen the thing with the two shoulders, the two angels or the angel and the devil, do this,
Angel
don't
and the
do this,
devil.
back and forth.
Right.
But if you're caught in the
Yeah.
middle, who do you listen to?
You
The
listen
angel or
to.
the devil. But let us come in as the independent and knock
Yeah.
them off your shoulders. And now we'll
And
give
what a
you,
and what a cool way not to cut you off, but what a cool way to comment on what you just said. Listen to our last episode. We just talk about that. Who do you listen to? Remember, who do you
yep, that
trust?
was right. That was our
Isn't
last
that cool?
episode. Who
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you listen to?
yeah. I'll tell you who to
Sometimes,
listen to. Yeah,
yeah.
516-727-2294. Steve Kent Financial Services. That's who you listen to.
Yep. Yeah. Well, okay. Thank you. And Chuck is 410-935-6132. He's going to help
Yeah,
you take an independent look with numbers about
yeah,
what's right, your competitors, maybe which way to go. Take advantage. We want to
yeah,
help you.
yeah. See, what a great episode, man. I loved it.
Yeah.
What a great
Yeah.
episode, man. That's great. Friday for a podcast series because
It's 4 o'clock somewhere.
look like somewhere. Happy birthday, America. Happy
Yep.
birthday, everybody out there. Have a great 4th of July. What
Hmm.
a great weekend it's going to be. I can already
It
see
is.
it. People are already, I've seen people running down the road with flags. It makes me feel
Mm.
proud to be an American.
Yep. Yep.
And then not to go on a tangent real quick, we're running out of time, but I was happy to see the post on social media about the stigma of America as a horrible country. But since this World Cup is here, how many foreign countries are
Mm.
saying how much they love America and how much
Right.
we as Americans have graciously welcomed them to our country, and we are very good people for them, and they love that.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
are a good country. We
yeah,
have
we are.
more. I don't want to get political. We
You
do
know,
have more than most countries out there.
yeah,
We
we
just
do.
have to understand it and appreciate it.
Yeah, that's so true, right? I think we get caught up in this whole social media stuff to where everything is
Yeah, we
thrown down
do.
our throats. That's bad.
Right.
And it's really not. We do live in a great country, and that's why people are
Yeah.
flocking to come here because they know
Right.
we have a great country. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Steve, have a great Friday. Have a great
You
4th of
too.
July. Have a great
You
weekend.
will.
And
You
we'll
too.
talk soon. And everybody, hope you
You
have a
got
great
it.
4th of July. Stay safe because this is
Yes.
a weekend where
Yes.
people lose fingers and toes and arms and whatever else they're
Right.
doing out
Right.
there.
Yeah. Stay safe.
So keep the emergency rooms down. We don't need people flocking to them.
Nope.
Don't be calling 911. Please be safe.
Yep. You got it. Thanks, Chuck.
You got it. Thanks, Steve. Thanks,
Be
everybody.
good.
Have a great day. See you, Steve.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.